But Dave Persico, thanks for joining us. We're going to go to John here for a moment to find out how the chat's going to work. John, take it away. John, can you hear me? I think John might be locked up. Dave, can you still hear me?
Absolutely.
I'm cool here, BP.
Okay, there you go.
But I'm getting some, yeah.
Go for it, John. So let us know how the chat's going to work.
Well, I'm going to YouTube right now, but my computer is freaking out and it's telling me I don't have a stable connection.
Oh, great.
So once it settles down, which it just did, everything's going to be cool.
All right.
And anyway, yeah, man, join us out there and tell us who you are and where you're from. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to BP and Dave.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir. And folks, click the like and click the share button. Let your friends know we have Dave Persico live. And you don't want to miss this live, man. You can watch the recording later, but you definitely want to check him out. So as I was saying, he ran with the top pro modified cars in the world, one of the top fastest cars out of the New York area, and now runs a competitive pro street category. So, man, let's just say hello. Dave, welcome to the show.
It's really flattering that you invited me. I would have never expected. Yeah, but it's great. This is great.
We got her done, man. We were, we had a little bit of technical issues here. We're trying out this brand new YouTube thing. And like we say, we're saying often we're like found out like in the lanes, we had a couple of spark plug wires crossed and had to fix them real quick and get to the front line. But here we are. So we're ready to go. So this becomes an 8:30 to 9:30 show. Tell your friends, folks, and please join us on the chat. John's looking out for you. So Dave, one of the top racers in the IHRA Pro Mod era, I think late 80s and early 90s. You can correct me for there. I have to go back and think dust off the cobwebs. But tell us about those days when you were, had Mr. Groner. Was that how do you say Gary's name? Brainer.
Yeah, he. Kepner used to call him Little Known because he never wasn't much for the interviews, but boy, he could leave the starting line. And then he got tired of me trying to kill him, like blowing stuff up in his face, and he just had about enough. we just had way too much fun, Bill.
Well, you guys were rocking and rolling. There some of your contemporaries who stuck around in the sport have gone on to some pretty good renown. But I remember the time when I'm remember numbers like 660s at 209 where that was just absolutely killer numbers, and just knocking heads with all the top names in the category.
Yeah, a lot of that's due to the chest to John Torelli. That we were always a little underpowered, but boy, that friggin' car would work. Son of a bitch. My brother Mike, rest his soul, he's passed, but he was the clutch. I'd give him a clutch tune up and they would just throw it out and they would do what they wanted to do. And it was perfect every time. And he never would tell me, but it always went down the track. We had you could be down on power, but if the clutch is right, man, these guys did a fabulous job. And Torelli's cars were just we tried to wreck it. We couldn't. We tried everything. We just couldn't wreck it.
Old Big John. I remember back in the day, he ran that big blown Corvette of his own. You remember the supercharged Outlaws days, way back.
Yeah, and he's very proud of what he accomplished. He had an amazing run as a chassis builder. He built some beautiful cars. But this Camaro, the Pro Mod Camaro, was actually the forerunner that was the first real Pro Mod that he built. And it was the forerunner of, like, if you remember Janice's Widowmaker, that won everything there was to win. And then the guys down south bought it and won everything there was to win. Well, that was the clone to this car. It was just way ahead of its time with bead locks and 1/4-inch 4-link brackets, and just was what it was supposed to be. John's background was in supercharged cars, so he knew. And I inflated the power numbers that I thought we were going to have, as I was misled also. So we built the car for a ton of power, and it just didn't have any. Well, that was, they just kept trying and trying.
Yeah, but well, it was amazing. And that was that was a great thing back then, the early pro mod days, because guys didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were trying to take pro stocks and in some cases super pro cars and throwing like blown and nitrous motors in them and expecting to hold still down the track. And they were just trying to twist themselves in two. So it probably made sense to have something stronger than you needed than what the guys were trying to do.
And as a matter of fact, that was when you saw the cars in the old days, the white Camaro, the old one. Right. That was a street car. That was what I drove on the street. And then my brothers and I just kept getting dumber and dumber and putting more power in it. And finally, Gary at Englishtown, Gary went a 702 at like 201 or something. And he goes, I ain't driving that car again.
I remember that.
Guardrail, the center line, and he was terrified. He says, shit. But we got our money. We just fine. We sold it to some guys that were in sales and distribution on Long Island. It worked out well. It worked out well for us.
Gotcha. maybe showing up at some of those street races late at night.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Well, so how did the team work? Did you so you were the clutch guy, right? Or were you the motor guy as well?
No, I was, and I hate to say it, we ended up with a 55-gallon drum full of burnt pistons. I was the tune-up. That was me. And we were just learning. We didn't know. And nobody, Mike Thermos was with us from the beginning. There was a fella that you probably know named Waddy Hammond.
Yeah.
That worked for NOS. And
from Mod Wad.
Yep, he was a brother to me. He grew up in Niagara Falls. Him and his brother raced at Niagara, one of our local racetracks, and then he went to work for Mike. And because we had a connection from Western New York, they treated me like gold. I mean, they just took such great. And Mike Thermos, still with Nitro Supply, helps me with what I'm doing now.
That's
just
awesome.
The most wonderful people. And it's sad, but Waddy's not with us. But
right.
So
lost him pretty recently. But you're thinking about Freddie Hahn, and of course we just lost Mrs. Hahn this last week. But those are Freddie Hahn, Mike Janis, Torkelson. Not Torkelson, but Torelli, some just killer cars from that area, that Buffalo area.
And there's one of the questions on the sheet you gave me just to brief me what was going to go on here. Probably the guy I respect the most, and it was the best driver and who I wanted to run all the time was Jim and Fred.
Yeah.
They whipped us. I'll tell you a funny story. They whipped us like a dirty rug every frigging time. We would burn stuff up, match racing them, trying to catch them.
Yeah.
And they would just be smiling, right? And at the time, I wasn't as cordial as I'm being right now. Actually, pretty nasty. But Fred, we were really in tight with the starter at London Motorsports. And I says, John, give me, I got a match race. We're match racing Jim. I says, would you help me out here? And we got to be great friends. And I go, when Gary he's going to pre-stage and then Fred. But as soon as you see Gary's stage light come on, flip the switch and he'll be gone. Didn't make any difference. Didn't mean a friggin' thing.
A Jim Fred Hahn horsepower.
And people say, I'll say this, and I'm glad I got a chance to say it in public, that they were accused a lot of times of bending the rules. Well, don't you think that just makes them smarter?
Yeah.
Don't you think? I don't. Cheating's cheating, and everybody's cheating. When I don't even want to go into that from the old days, but part of the piston burning problem was we had some additives that didn't quite work out.
Gotcha.
We tried really, really hard. But if they were bending the rules to that point, now you look back and you go, that sons of bitches, they just were smarter than us. They were just smarter, so they should be the winner. And they were.
Let me tell you what, I'm good pals with Kepner, and we were there. I was the conehead, the burnout contest guy that had to chase these assholes down the track, and try to catch them. but Animal Jim would always give me a workout.
Oh yeah.
But you get the inside dope, and sometimes who was doing what or what you expected there. And the top names, I won't name any names, but they're all doing stuff like that. And
Everybody pulls some shit.
if the
And
rule
if
book
they
don't
didn't,
say you
they didn't.
can't,
Yeah, if they didn't win.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's easy to accept now because
Yeah.
a nitrous car, you can make them. In the old days, oh, we were lost. Do you know? And a lot of it was mistakes. A lot of it, these patterns, these nitrous patterns, we were running so fat. And the reason that white car flew like it did, I was flowing the systems wrong, and I was deadheading, and I was for this pound, this PSI, but it was deadheaded. It wasn't flowed. So if you floated, it was so lean, but it loved it. It would just fly, and you never have to take the heads off. It was so lean. It was so happy. And Gary was having a ball. He's just pulled, and we never had to work on it. Just the clutch, always the clutch. And my brother Mike would do the clutch all the time. Boy,
I guess you have to wonder how many innovations were found by screwing up, by setting it different than you wanted, and something just weird happened. You're like, oh, look at that.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I was told in a super circuit and a couple other races when we raced down south, this fella named Norman Estes.
Yeah.
And Shannon was his crew chief. And all of a sudden, we were keeping up. All of a sudden, these guys picked up a tenth and a half. And I'm thinking, what's going on? And it came out, somebody leaked it that they made a mistake, and they switched the patterns in the nitrous, in the fogger. And they leaned everything out because we were always real fat, and we thought that was the way, but we were getting all kinds of issues. And the rumor was one of their guys mistakenly swept the jets around and leaned the thing out, and it flew, and it didn't hurt itself. And I guess a lot of us, I don't know if it's true or not, but that's where we all ended up. Now there's an 8 spread in the patterns, and it's just crazy. But they fly, and they don't hurt themselves.
I remember those guys got fast there that one year, and
it was.
That white, a white vet or something.
Again, it's a monetary thing where Shannon or Norman was very well financed, and it was hard to keep up with us burning parts and trying to catch these guys. But I wouldn't have traded a nickel. The reason I didn't drive any of these cars is I had a really awful automobile accident where I was rear-ended and broke my back, and I had a couple surgeries, and I could hardly walk. Well, that's when Gary came in. I didn't get a lot of money, enough to buy 5 motors, and all this lawsuit settlement money was gone. We ran really good for a short period of time, and then we didn't have no parts. We got to Bristol the final twice, and both times there's nothing left. Almost had to push the car to the starting line. We had the crew, we had the driver, we had a chassis. We just didn't have no money.
Yeah, got it. Oh my God.
And now it's what Mike and those guys do is just obscene.
Well, they're a whole second quicker than you guys were. It's amazing. When you think about
it took Bill, it took them 30 years to get that second.
That's true. Yeah. It's hard to believe how long Pro Mod's been around. It makes me feel old, I guess.
It was so much fun. Nobody knew nothing. Nobody had no money. You weren't winning any money, but you're having a time of your life. There's some great stories.
Well, let's get to them in a minute. Let's go to John and see who is on the chat tonight. John, who has found us and stuck around?
Well, so far I had trouble bringing up the chat, and we have 3 posts on the chat. Pete Mariello in Los Angeles says, good evening.
Howdy.
PFR Racing is here with us tonight.
You know those guys, Dave? PFR. Tell them to spell it out and tell us who they are.
Yeah, I couldn't quite place the initials of PFR, but it's PFR Racing, and they're here, and they gave us a big thumbs up.
Hey, guys.
Where are they from?
And Rich Panicaro is here with us from New Jersey, and he says, "Hey, gang." So, and that's it for now.
Howdy, Rich. Well, here's what I'll ask our I got our insiders here, Pete from LA and Rich from New Jersey. Guys, if you could hook us up, go to Facebook and tell everybody that we're on live and tell them where to find us. And I would much appreciate it. And
Good
PFR
point.
guys, tell us who you are, man. Tell us what your race team is and where you're from. And
Yeah.
thanks for joining.
Now, many times there are far more people that are just watching the show, and they don't make posts in the chat. But sometimes we get overloaded with posts in the chat. I can't hardly keep up with all of it. But tonight it's pretty slow on the chat board.
Well, I think they probably checked in and didn't know we were going to continue doing it. So we'll bring them along.
Oh,
the
okay.
cool thing is you can always see this after it's recorded.
PFR Racing is in New Zealand.
Oh, wow. Check it out.
No, I don't know.
We're great to have y'all with us.
Oh, nice said hi though.
Hey, they got a hell of a door, Australia and New Zealand have a hell of a Doorslammer scene. There's, a couple of guys went down, the old Wild Bunch guys went down there, Tommy Howes and Camp Stanley, and toured the place. And then they created their own Wild Bunch down there. And now their super stalkers are blown down there. They're crazy in the outback.
Okay, PFR Racing is Phillips Family Racing from New Zealand, and Aaron Phillips is going to be the racer of the week next week. So
fantastic.
He and I, we're longtime friends, and thank you, Aaron, for showing up tonight and checking out the show.
Welcome, mates. Good to see you. I guess it's next. Is it Tuesday morning down there? Maybe even around noon. I have to get my time zone math right, but well,
actually,
man, I tell you,
it's tomorrow where Aaron is.
Cool.
It's tomorrow about noon or so.
Awesome. Well, Dave, tell us. So you've transitioned now to a street legal car. I guess that's it behind you. Tell us about the new machine.
Well, at the end, it got a little discouraging. Is a real good word that you'd work. You work between all your guys. You'd put 120 hours a week, and you'd make 4, 5, 6 second runs. So I'm thinking. I talked to John and I says, I need one more. I says, give me something that I can put power like anything, but it's got to be a street car. It's got real glass. It's got a steel roof and quarters. It's all upholstered. It's not Mickey Mouse. Front clip and the rest. And he probably put 140 pounds of shit in like a 20-pound box. I run it with the mufflers on because I don't want to take them off. It's too much trouble.
Yeah.
And I run it with the air cleaner, no scoop. So when it goes down the racetrack, it looks like a street car, and they don't hear it. It sounds like a street. You can hear the tires kind of wheeling a little bit, but it's so much. You can't have that much fun doing anything as I have driving that car. And it doesn't break. It doesn't melt. I don't have the tune-up. It's got 4 kits on it that are all mine. I got some help from some other guys, but that didn't pan out. Now with Mike Janis built the first engine, the one that's in the car, the street engine. It's not real fancy. It's a steel block, but it's 700 inches.
Yeah.
And it's got split dominators on it, which that fellow, that CFM, Carl. That's embarrassing.
It's escaping me too. It'll come to us.
He is the master. Now, Mike, when I got the bill for the carburetors, I says, this is like a joke? What is this? He goes, how good is this car going to be if it don't idle? And it idles like a baby. You can sit there, and then it's got the Kenworth radiator in it that Torelli made me buy. It never gets hot.
That's great.
It's 3,500 pounds.
Yeah.
So you got to get that moving. And it's run with the other engine. It ran like 456, 155 or 156. And then you drive it home. This one's better. Stuff. This is amazing. This engine it goes 490s, 480s with the mufflers and the air cleaner. And the racetrack, our little racetrack, Lancaster, which is where Fred Hahn, that's where Fred and Mike and Jim and John all cut their teeth. And there's nothing wrong with it. It produced some pretty stellar friggin' guys.
Heck yeah.
And I drive 6 miles and I'm there. I got the wheelie bars on, the slicks on, and I just drive it there. And then I drive it home. It kind of aggravates a lot of people, but it's actually a lot of fun. And then driving it on the street, you can drive it. The furthest I've gone is like about 70 miles, say. And there still is gas left in it.
Right.
And it don't do nothing wrong. You just drive it. You just drive it like a little girl's car.
You remember those days when the hot rod tours, you had to drive them? Track?
Yeah. It was originally built for drag week, but it took me so long to get enough money. And for all my painter and my upholstery guy and John, by the time the car was finished, the turbos were running like, forget it. It ain't going to happen. And I ain't going to work that hard for nothing. I mean, I do it for me. It's my car. All I do this is for is fun. Right. I go to the racetrack. I give them my entrance fee. I say, give me my 3 runs, my 2 qualifiers, and my first round, and I go home. It's fun. This is what you're supposed to do. And it is fun. It's friggin' fun. Now, I haven't said the other word yet. It's going to come out, I'm sure. But
yeah,
anyway,
well, no,
the car's just, and steel doors. And like I said, it's just way, 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 way too much fun. It really is. You can't have that much fun. I don't know. I suppose it's the most fun you can have with your pants on. That's a good way to say it.
That sounds good. Do you get, so what's the racing like? Is it all heads up or?
No, I wish, I never raced. That's the problem. All the racing I ever saw and I ever did was get to the end first, no matter what. And this is bracket racing, and I can't leave the starting line. You got these guys that are like, geez, they'll cut your eyes out.
Yeah. Do they have electronics or do they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they all use boxes and stuff. And I got a box, but I don't know. I'm kind of old school, I'll make my 3 runs and go home. It's okay.
Well, yay, man. So tell us, let's go back to the beginning. How did you get started in drag racing? Did you guys just have cars and, you and the brother have cars in high school?
No. The guy across the street, Eddie Egan, probably cost me, $1.5 million so far. When I was like 14, I'd sit on the curb and watch him working on their hot rods. And he took me for a ride down. We got an expressway that's nice and smooth and straight. And that was it. It was a stick car, and that was it. Okay. I got to have something. So then I got the Firebird. It was a stock 400, and I broke the first night I got it. I didn't know you're not supposed to sidestep. I didn't know nothing. So let's put it to the floor and sidestep the clutch. Well, then that didn't work out well at all. The pinion broke and was banging around in the drive shaft, and it just wrecked everything. Then the trannies, then the clutch, and then spun bearings in the Pontiac motor, and that was the end of that shit. I just had enough. And so my brothers and I can't say enough about my brother Mike. None of this would be here without him. He was always there, and he was the best. He just had demons.
Yeah.
He was a godsend. And my brother Richie stepped right up now. He's been with me right along, and he's coming along. And he's got a couple pretty nice street cars too. But this is just different. This is like, you can break the tires loose. You go 70 miles an hour, give it 3/4 throttle, and it breaks the tires loose. It's
I'm sure.
Control.
You got 60s on the back, or what do you have these days?
Well, they're HGs. What were they? L70 60s or something? No, these are 33. They're Mickey Thompson street radios. They're 17. They're like a 1734.5. They fill the wheel well up like great. It's it.
Yeah.
And then it's all you, we want to go to the race. If you really want to go driving around, you take the wheelie bars off. You
Yeah.
switch, put the street tires on the back. You don't touch the engine. You don't touch the tune-up. You put a mix of pump gas in it. And the bottles. The bottles come out and the passenger seat goes in and you drive it around.
Yeah.
It's people just shake their heads. You can't do that. It took a long time though to get it right. Compression.
4-second car, baby.
Oh, there were 10 and a half, 12 and a half, 11s, 13s, and 14 to 1. And you just kept trying and trying. And now it's where it's supposed to be. It's really happy. So I run 2 kits at the racetrack. There's 4 on there. And it's stopping that bothers me. You know, it's so heavy that it's really hard to stop it.
Yeah.
So you try to turn.
Do you do shoots or?
Believe it or not, with 2 kits, I don't.
Okay.
But it's getting to the point where I'm trying to turn everything on in about 60 feet. And the Lancaster takes it. It's got a damn good starting line. And get all, that's where your ET is. If I can get going and 200 feet, shut it off.
Yeah.
And then just go down the racetrack. It goes pretty fast.
Nice. Yeah, that's a lot of weight to get moving.
Yeah, that's the pain. But I didn't care. It's a street car.
Yeah.
It really is. If you ever I'll send you some photos of the interior and the whole car, and it's a street car. It truly is. Race cars don't have radiators.
Push the 8-track in and
yeah, it's got a CD. I stepped right up. Not a smart radio, but a CD player. But you can't hear it. I had them put speakers in the sail panels and speakers in the doors and speaker in the front. And I was kidding myself. You can't hear it. You can't hear nothing.
That's a good point. Who had to think about that? Let's check it with John again. What do the folks have to say, John? Are we gaining any new followers in the last couple of minutes?
There's only been a couple of posts, but everybody's listening to the show. I'm having a great time listening to y'all. Pete Mariello in Los Angeles said he shared this show to Facebook.
Appreciate you, bud.
And Phillips Family Racing in New Zealand said it is Tuesday at 1:45 p.m. over there.
Ooh, a little later than I thought.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And, you know, Dave, listening to you talking about your beginnings in pro mod. If I was going to be a pro mod racer, I'd want to be one when you were doing it, back when it was, still fresh and new, and everybody was in it. Because I saw in this last event that they had this weekend, there were like 26 pro mods trying to qualify and 17 pro stocks or 18 pro stocks or something like that. But back when y'all were doing it, you had a full field and you were free to create anything you wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And you're hanging around with guys like, I was just so blessed. I'm hanging around with Ronnie Sachs. Now, Ronnie Sachs, come on. I mean, he's got his arm around you and he's talking to my driver and Robbie and Vandergriff, and I still stay in contact.
Yeah.
And match racing with Charlie and Animal Jim. You just these characters, there's nothing like that now. It's like, no wonder it's so boring, and it's like, them guys were so much fun.
Exactly what I was thinking.
They're all having the time of their life.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah, those are, you made your name, right? NHRA didn't try to stick it on you, from a PR firm. You went and.
No, I don't. This is a big, and I was telling people, this is kind of a step for me because I don't like saying anything about anything. And there's been Dave Wallace and a couple other guys, we send me some stuff. We could probably do some articles on these cars, and eventually maybe I will, but it's for me. I didn't do it. I didn't do this for anybody. I did it just because it's so much fun. You can't, just too much fun.
Well, your enthusiasm shows. And I mean, like I tell you, we're just here bench racing, man. It's like, that's what we try to do. And we're have us a good old time.
There's a couple good, they're not too off color. See, because most of the time we're all like little kids away from home.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have to go to school today, so let's
Yeah.
do whatever we want. And we did.
Yeah. Tell us about some of those stories.
Well, my brother Mike was always, he was both of them. There's two that come to mind, and we're racing at London. There's a fella named John Fletcher up there in the Fletcher family, and they treated us like gold. Sparta is
Mhm.
where it's an old racetrack, and now it's St. Thomas, and they really do good.
Okay.
Watch it
Yeah.
online.
They
And
revamped it.
he would take such good care of us, and we would be up all night, get there on Friday and be partying all night, and then qualify on Saturday and race on Sunday. And my brother Mike, sometimes a tip a bottle, maybe a little too, I don't know how that really nice way to say it. So he'd be with his girlfriend or somebody, and he'd be driving a golf cart, racing around. We had nitrous on the golf cart, but I had to take it off because these guys just,
We're
they
going to kill
abused
themselves.
believe me, they abused it. But Mike would, and he'd go riding around, and he'd go campfiring, he called it, where late at night, and he'd look for campfires and bum beers from guys.
Yeah.
These girls, take me for a ride. So he'd come back to show us, I'm going to take the car for a ride. Goes flying down a return road, whips around, comes back. Where's the girl? He says, what girl? There was a girl with you when you left. Holy shit. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to go back and look. He brings this girl back that fell off, was rolling around in the briarwood and all scuffed up and laughing, and just the other better one than that, though, is on the way to Norwalk. The traffic's always backed up down this. We come from, I don't know which way we came, but guys, everybody will know the way. You come down and there's one stoplight or stop sign and a ratty old motel. And I can see my buddies all going, you're not going to tell that story. They're thinking that right now. So we go, it's to a crawl. There's this ratty motel that's been condemned and closed for 30 years. And we're going so slow, so slow, so slow. Mike says, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to use the John. I got to use the John. I says, Mike, we're not moving. Jump out and do what you got to do. Go, whatever. So we're near this place, this motel, and we're just crawling. We're not going fast. And he comes smiling. He comes walking back and gets in the truck, and everything's cool. So whatever we did or qualified or whatever, blew our shit up. I don't remember that particular time. So we go back to the motel. We didn't have, nobody had toters, or we just, either it was a tent, a trailer, or a motel.
Yeah.
So the next day we get up, we get cleaned up. We're going by the motel, and it's still backed up. And he's looking. He says, yep, my socks are still there. So you figure out what he meant. He hung them over the railing when he was done.
Yeah.
That's just Mike. There's so many stories. I can't remember them. I just can't. And some of them are a little, I don't know if they're off color, but I got in trouble because we went to no offense to people in New Jersey, but we were lost. And we ended up in this really ratty motel. And it was 4 or 5 of us. So there was praying mantises walking around in the room.
Really?
They bug you when you're trying to sleep. Well, there's no towels. There's a couple sheets, and there's no toilet paper.
Jeez.
So I got to go. So there's nothing, and it might sound, I ain't going to finish this because it's pretty bad.
I think, we understand what happened, but you got to do what you got to do. And that's,
well, what happened was
what they left you.
all we had was the Bible. And they says, you can't do that. You cannot. And I says, well, I took the preface out and the unimportant pages, and I was using the unimportant pages. And I showed these guys, I'm going in here with these pages, and they're just, oh, you're going right to friggin' hell. So I get done. And that was the end of that story. That was the end. And nobody talked about it. Nobody said nothing. I think 8 or 10 months, it might have been a year later, I get this note I think it was written in black on just this card. There are no unimportant pages. And I'm shitting. I'm shaking. I'm like, Holy cow! Who would know that? These guys don't care. They wouldn't. Nobody's mentioned this in all this time, and I'll be damned. It probably took 3 or 4 years to figure out Jerry Highway, who was a crew chief for my buddies out. And I'm sorry, I apologize. I can't remember their names, but Jerry did it. Thinking I was shitting. I was like, "Who? This is really bad. Really, really. I am going hell."
They gotcha.
They really did. It was. But
Oh,
that's
man.
about as bad. I don't think we did anything. We just got chased by truckers for knocking their mirrors off, and the trailer was. I wasn't so good dry. I hit the Peace Bridge and knocked the whole side of the trailer, the chair molding, I would call it. Sheared every rivet in it.
Jeez.
And the lady's a toll lady, and she's just looking at me like. So I got out, opened the side door. It was pretty long. It was probably 15 feet long. Threw it in the trailer, shut the door. She says, "How much do I owe you?" She says, "Just go. Just go. Just go."
Oh, I love it. John, you had a thought, sir?
Yes, we had a couple of significant posts while we were chatting just now. Ken Bushley made a post and said that y'all went to high school together, and
Yeah.
he said Dave is my racing hero.
Yeah. Well,
And Rich Panacaro, I'm going to follow up on what Rich posted, but he said nobody could find the show. Now I don't know what that means because the link worked. It worked fine for me. I don't know, and I know we had some issues getting everybody hooked up tonight, but there's a few people here. And PFR Racing, when y'all were talking about your beginnings in Pro Mod, he said back when Pro Mod was real racing and wild.
yeah, I'm not allowed to say that.
Well, I don't know, guys. I'm literally looking at the show right now on YouTube, so it's working, gang.
Yeah.
So don't know, but we'll get you. We'll work it out. You know, like Dave was saying, you don't just drive to the track and make it work. This is a new combination, about 3 weeks old. We keep coming out here, and we're gonna keep flogging away till we get this shit box working.
There you go. Shitbox. There you
As
go.
Pat Foster would say, that's my Pat Fosterism there.
Yeah. Well, we copied him and used to letter it on the back window of the car going down after a bad weekend.
Gotcha.
Shoe polish. Shitbox. And it was a shitbox.
Well, Dave, do you?
Not a trolley car. It was me and my brothers. And we didn't know nothing. Throwing shit together. But you just more pill. Just pill it till you kill it. That's what they used to say. Yeah, it was a lot different back then. Those guys really gave it a personality. And there's guys that never get any mention. There's some friggin' screwball with the Chevelle from hell.
Yeah.
It was a 66 Chevelle, and he was from New York somewhere.
Yeah.
What an entertaining guy.
I got them all.
Oh, he wrecked so much stuff. We were good for, we had something in common. Like,
I got every one of these guys is special. You're certainly special to me. I have great fond memories no matter where I saw her reading it, or you don't really see them on video unless you see an old Papadea's video or something. But I mean, it's every Draglist entry is important to me for one, and we got you listed for every single year you guys ran. Until now, I got to get the street car.
It's very flattering of you.
But yeah,
one more real good story though.
Please.
This is a good one. At Maryland, we were booked in for a match race, and we got there real early, but the gates were open, and I had just gotten this like 44-foot fifth wheel trailer, and I'm pulling it with a dually. And I don't know if they still got the water towers at Maryland in the pits for water. Do you remember?
So. No, Royce Miller's pretty much turned that place out. It's like a national event track now.
Yeah, this was the old, because the guy Kraus, I think, was the owner at that time.
Oh, you're talking about Cecil County.
Oh, Cecil County, yeah.
Yeah. Because I was down at Bud's Creek's like 10 miles.
Yeah, you were. I apologize, but
all good.
If Cecil County still has those those fiberglass water towers.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well,
Been a while.
I'm trying to drive this big trailer. I'm trying to get a pit spot, and they hit the spigot stuck out. I still am going to stick to that. They stuck out too far. Now, these probably held, I'm not going to be real accurate. They had to hold a couple thousand gallons. They were like 20 or 30 feet high, and they were 15 feet in diameter, and they were all fiberglass. They must have repurposed them from something. So I'm swinging the trailer around, and don't the back of the trailer knock the spigot off one of them.
Oh,
and
no.
flood the place.
Yeah.
So I go up to the tower, and nobody's there. So we wait till the next day, and I go up and tell the guy, and he wanted to tear my head off.
Wow.
He was upset.
Yeah.
It actually was pretty funny because it was like so much water. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Was this Kraus? Because he raced Pro Mod. Is that the guy that owned it as well?
That's the fella that, as best of my knowledge, Jim Halsey and I raced a lot together.
Yeah.
And he married Richard's daughter. And then, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Jim own MIR or that racetrack?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure these days.
Well, Kraus.
I knew he was up that way.
Yeah, Kraus did own it, I believe. Well, he was the guy yelling at me, so I just figured he did.
Yeah.
And he's probably laughing. Now, I hope that it's been that long he got over it. I didn't mean it, and I apologize again.
That's how this stuff works, right?
Whatever. But we hit a lot of shit. With that trailer, we hit tons of shit. We would go through London, through Canada, and they had these quaint little villages, and they had these beautiful street lamps that were, they were so pretty. But they had bulbs that were probably 4 foot in diameter, and they weren't that high off the ground, unfortunately. And they kept with this one in this one corner. We'd knock it, break it every time we went to the racetrack, and there'd always be a new one. It was awesome. But we never got caught. A lot of this stuff took place before all the cameras, which would be very bad.
Yeah.
That would have been bad for everything.
Thank God we are all glad of that, I have to say.
Oh, yeah. And Canadian beer.
Yeah, there you go.
So.
Yeah. Oh, sir. Well, it's been a blast. Can you come back and talk to us some more?
Yeah, now that I know what to expect, and I can, I haven't said fuck once.
Nicely done, sir.
There you are.
We had a guy on recently, a jet dragster racer, who was a really good guy, and he was saying it a lot as he was talking about his ministry, which was pretty interesting, I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
God bless him. God
You know
bless
what?
him. No, Bill, this was very kind of you, and I hope somebody somewhere got some entertainment out of it.
Oh, hell yeah.
A lot more went on, and hopefully I'll be good enough
Most
shape.
definitely. Yeah.
And I tell you, a lot of guys were like Robbie Vandergrift, got the big thumbs up when he saw that it was coming on. I saw a couple.
He's been a friend. We stay in minimal contact, but we do contact each other. There's all these guys were so good. They were just so much fun because nobody give a shit. We're match racing. We're all getting paid. Who cares?
Right.
Even at national events, for us to win a national event, well, we could have if they had a little bit more money.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Damn close. Well,
John Force said that. You know why we win? And I cut it out of a magazine. They quoted him. You know why we win races? Because we spend more money.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. And
remember the years? You remember the years, you go back where he was a runner-up everywhere. He was always a runner-up. This was the
every bit of he had a bad weekend, but he deserves every bit of accolade that he gets. I mean, he keeps drag racing because he really does.
Yeah.
There's an entertaining guy. That's what you need. That's the way it is.
Right. Yeah.
If somebody would figure out a way to put a cap on it and have us have the guys that race now, I don't know if it can be done because it's a natural progression. I'm going to beat you and I'm going to spend more money. I have more money and I'm going to hire the best people and buy the best stuff.
Yeah.
And even buy the best driver.
Yeah. That's that's the way it is. That's the
No
way
answer.
there was always one or two guys that came in and did that, but now it's you got to be that. I mean, it's and you're looking at like freaking top fuel fields that look like pro stock fields, you know, in terms of how close they are, just ridiculous. And even the pro mods, think about these, you know, you got 16 cars between 570 and 581. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, but you know, I guess time marches on.
Yeah, we were blessed by God to be doing it at that time. And I just had enough of that settlement money to buy a few good pieces, and then they all turned to shit. There was friggin' nothing left.
I didn't know about that, you know.
And then we burned the one real good car I spent. We set the world on fire that one year at 95, I think, or 96. We were flying. And I spent, I don't know, 20, 25 grand on carbon and titanium.
Yeah.
That was going to be the cheap.
Yeah.
And then we went out testing the first time to Dragway Park. And it was my fault. The solenoids, I tried a different way of timing the nitrous systems. The driver, Panieri, come back and he goes, I took my foot out, but it kept going for a little bit. I said, don't worry about it. Well, the second run, he says it just kept going and then it exploded. Now, no ambulance. The fire truck didn't start and it didn't have no water in it if it did start.
Jesus Christ.
This is Dragway Park.
Yeah.
Son of a, and that car just, you've seen carbon fiber burn.
Yeah.
It was just the worst. And the driver, he's lucky he got out of it. He burned, he got a couple burns, but he recovered. And he's still, Panieri's an amazing driver. He does very well. He's in Mountain Motor Pro Stock and 10.5 stuff and all kinds of shit now. He does very good, but he says, I'm getting fat and I'm getting old. I don't know how much longer.
Happens
to us. That was the worst. That was the worst thing.
Well, Dave, you've been amazing, man. Super entertaining. Way too much for one show. Please come back. Maybe in a month or two.
Well, yeah, give me some time. I mean, I'll tear a bunch of shit up and probably have some more stories. I don't plan on stopping for a while. This is just way too much fun. It's just, my God, I don't think anybody can have this much fun because I get to drive it around.
Yeah.
You know, and you got all these crew guys working their asses off and what do they get out of it? And I get to drive it. And then I get to drive it at the racetrack.
That's the way to do it.
It's just stupid. It's just so much stupid. And I'm the big fish maybe in a little pond. But I could tune it up. But why should I? Yeah. You know, I can go compete with some of these other guys, but there's no reason to. The end of the year is when I really do. Because then if you wreck everything, you put it back together all winter. But it's cool. So there.
A pleasure, sir. Thanks a lot.
No, I'm still flattered. It was really, really nice, you guys, to think about me like that. And thanks for the posters. And it's pretty cool. It was nice. Nice to be remembered.
John,
yeah, well, I thought I'd tell you, Dave, when I made your graphic for this show, I looked at those cars and you built some of the finest hot rods I have ever seen.
Well, you didn't give the black one enough credit. The guy at Drag Review almost got fired because he put a half-page picture of that car in color. Wow. And somebody was going to cut his nuts off. He actually was in big trouble because it cost so much money. But that black and flamed car was just, what a beautiful race car.
You got to lose
Even Tommy Mooney, who me and him, he said that's the baddest hot rod I ever saw.
Wow, there you go. That's high.
Not the fastest, not the quickest. It was pretty.
Run she may, but shine she must, baby.
Yeah, that's what the Dale Grainer method. And anyways, everything's been real good, and you guys have been great. And thank you so much. I don't know what to say.
Well, it's been a pleasure visiting with you. Can't wait to have a beer sometime. We'll then hear some real stories.
Several. If you're ever near Buffalo or Empire, you know that's a killer racetrack too out here. If you're ever out this way, I'll be really, hurt if you guys don't at least call me to meet you somewhere.
Awesome. Let's make it happen, Captain.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Dave Persico.
Yeah.
Awesome, sir. See you later.
All right, Bill. And who's your
Johnny
guy?
B.
Yanni. All right. That's it.
See you
Take
later,
care.
Dave.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Persico. Let's say farewell, and we're going to go over there and talk to Mr. Bockelman for this week's JB's Take and Racer of the Week. John?
Thanks, BP. My pick for Racers of the Week are Victoria, Pete, and Grace Smith from Wink Hill, Staffordshire, United Kingdom. The Smiths' black Buick, I'm sorry, I said black instead of Buick, the GS Super Street race car by Boost Monkey Racing is a great example of world-class hot rod engineering and creativity. Check out the Boost Monkey Racing page on Facebook. Victoria started racing in the year 2000 after her first visit as a spectator at York Raceway in Yorkshire, UK. She bought a 1969 Mustang with a 351 Windsor engine, which ran 15-second ETs, and used it as her daily driver for a few years. In 2007, she bought a big block 1968 Chevy Nova, which had previously run low 12s. She put a big block methanol naturally aspirated race engine in and ended up running with a personal best of 9.7 seconds. Pete started racing in 2006 after buying a 1972 Plymouth Scamp. Pete's dad was into American cars, owning a 1968 Charger, and they lived only 30 minutes away from Santa Pod. The Scamp had a 318 engine and ran 14-second ETs, and Pete has since raced a Shelby GT500 and a twin-turbo LS Audi running a best of 1.1 seconds at 60 feet and 8.40-second ETs in the quarter mile. Victoria and Pete met at Santa Pod Raceway in 2009. They married, and their daughter Grace was born in 2010. As a family, they continued with their love of American cars, teaching Grace to drive in a 1968 Buick Skylark and a GMC Sierra pickup. Victoria and Pete bought a 1970 Buick GS from Michigan and exported it to the United Kingdom. The Buick is a twin-turbo big block Chevy Steve Morris engine. The engine was refreshed by ICE Automotive. The transmission is a Rossler transmission, which was refreshed by Edge Performance Transmissions. And the car, which is street legal, was entered into Street Eliminator in British National Championship racing. The Buick is Victoria's car, and she has run a best of 7.6 seconds at 193 miles an hour so far, with a target of 200 miles per hour in the full-weight door car. Pete is building a street-legal 1967 Camaro with a turbo LS engine and an Edge Performance 400 transmission and a Neil Chance Pro Mod converter to run in the same class as Victoria, which is Street Eliminator. When Grace turned 11 years old, she entered the British Junior Dragster Championship and now races her half-scale dragster with a Cros 7.90 index engine. She came in 13th in her first full racing season, won the Junior Dragster Takedown at Melbourne Raceway in Yorkshire, and had a #1 qualifier at Santa Pod with the best reaction time of the Junior Dragster class that year with a 0002 light. Grace had just turned 14 and cannot wait until her 16th birthday when she could race in the adult classes. The Smiths would like to thank Nick Davies and Rob Loring of ICE Automotive Racing Engines, that's ICE Automotive Racing Engines, John Sleeth Race Cars, Edge Performance Transmissions, Shannon Davies, and Devin Vanderhoof for their continued help and support. Also the Hale family for the running of Street Eliminator class, the most friendly and supportive class that they've been involved in. Victoria, Pete, and Grace It's an honor and a great pleasure to know y'all. You represent the very best in our sport, both as a family and as drag racers. We wish you all good luck, safe racing, and the best of times in the future. Our water heater went out last week, and Debbie went shopping for a new one today. I'm taking cold showers. At first, it's like skinny dipping in the Frio River at Garner State Park, but after about 10 seconds, it's downright exhilarating. But I'll accept the new water heater when it gets here. Now, changed my mind about retiring from playing live gigs in nightclubs. Today, I got an invitation from Jim Fulton to come out to Katie's Bar in Bay Cliff Wednesday night and play guitar with him and a few others for his Wednesday night jam session. It'll be from 7 to 10. It's not an all-night deal. I'm bringing 5 songs, all blues, all stuff I wrote. Should be a fun night. I've been a little stir crazy here, and I played with Jim and Bob for 14 years. They've never heard me play guitar, so it meant a lot to me to receive Jim's invite. I'll provide an update next week and let y'all know how it goes. Everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. We look forward to having y'all with us every week. It's a great way for us to spend an hour together on a Monday night. And I'll see y'all next time. God bless America. Back to you, BP.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. We got another one done, man. We're putting it into the box.
Yeah.
So great stuff as always. Sorry about the water heater. Man, yikes. Although I was hanging around Saturday in the 96 degrees weather all day and I could use it. Speaking of that, did have a great time. We had a blast at the Rocking Chair Nationals up at Mason-Dixon Dragway in Hagerstown, Maryland this last Saturday. It was great to give out awards to all the deserving Lifetime Achievement winners, and always great to see good friends. You can see some photos up on the Drag Racing List Facebook page. Check them all out. Lots of great vintage racers, lots of great guys and gals getting awards, and it was just super fun. Let's talk about upcoming guests. We are hard at work at lining them up, and we do have Miss Kay Turkelson hooked us up. Next Monday night, July 1st, there's going to be a unique show featuring Nitro Alley and Mad Maxine. These ladies are drag racing podcasters and backup girls, and you may have seen Mad Maxine all over the place on social media there with Facebook with her husband's Mad Max Mustang Nitro funny car nostalgia. And Nitro Alley hosts the podcast and does some cool things as well. And in addition to being heavily involved in the junior drag racing series, they have a very unique deal going on. Nitro Alley and Mad Maxine are putting together an organization to make backup girls more professional. They're going to teach them how to train these folks how to do PR, how to do promotions, and how to better support their racing efforts. So it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Also, these ladies keep up with the latest and greatest in IHRA, so we'll kind of get their take on what's going on then. So that's next Monday night. Nitro Alley and Mad Maxine coming to you thanks to Kay Turkelson. She's pulling in some pretty strong girl power for us, and we're going to have a fantastic show. Let's go on to those we lost. Although we were off for a couple of weeks, we had quite a long list last week. This week, a small list, but certainly no list is unimportant, and we frankly like it weeks when there's not that many. But we did on the 8th, as we mentioned with Dave tonight, on the 18th of June, we lost Karen Hahn. She was Fred Hahn's wife, the mother of a couple of wonderful kids, and big part of his racing operation, and certainly there to support him as he raced for so many years. Karen Hahn, farewell to you, madam. And then on the 22nd, we learned about this at Hagerstown as we were all meeting and greeting with our drag racing family there, but we lost Ron Hope, the driver of the Rat Trap, fuel altered, long-time nostalgia racer, great guy. I've known him for years. He's been on the show. And of course, I came to find out he also did a lot of land speed record racing, which I wasn't aware of until his passing, unfortunately. But farewell to Ron Hope. You'll see a lot of love up on Facebook and elsewhere saying farewell to Ron. So we are at the end here, folks. We're about to do our wrap up, but I did want to say thanks to John. Growing pains here with our YouTube deal. One of the things I'm noticing, in addition to coming on a little late tonight, but we'll get that worked out. But one of the things I'm noticing is when we save the show on YouTube and when we end the show, it keeps the last image up that the show had. So instead of seeing like what I would hope to have is like Dave Persico's image with John's great artwork. Well, you see the show that you see essentially the image you're seeing right now, which is me with my fantastic friend John, my fantastic former friend Danny, who's always in our hearts. So what I think I'm going to do at the end of the show, now we're not quite wrapped yet, but I think what I'm going to do is take a moment and put up the Dave Persico art behind me, and we'll kind of go like that and see if that is saved as the image for this show. Because I think as people go through the into the future and they want to go back and see the Dave Persico show, well, you kind of want to have John's Dave Persico art up there representing that. So let's give that a shot towards the end. We'll see if we can make the buttons work for that. But before we do that, John, any final thoughts from you on tonight's show?
Yes, I have 3 points to make tonight. First of all, Dave Persico was an awesome guest. He was great. I loved listening to his stories and the way he built those cars and raced them back in the day, man, that's drag racing history right there, man, and it's very important to know. And secondly, our thoughts and our prayers are with John Force, that he makes a speedy recovery. There's not a lot of details coming out about what happened, and it's really none of our business at this time. So when he gets back home, he'll let everybody know. John Force isn't going to shut up. He'll let everybody know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But John, we're praying for you. And the third point is that I'm really looking forward to having Nitro Alley and Mad Maxine on the show next week. We should have a great time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, class to join up a bit. We don't like all these guys hanging around. So Kay comes on now and then, but looking forward to it. Well, thanks, John. Let's go on, and I'm going to do so. Number one, I'm going to go like that and change my background to Dave Persico, and then let's do our final wrap here. So let's do it. So we want to thank Dave Persico for coming on. He was great. What a great old drag racer, just bench racing back in the shop. That's what it's all about. John Bachman, of course. Kay Turkelson, thank you, ma'am. Rob McCabe, who is doing a great job keeping us updated on the Draglist, doing a lot of hard work. And he was putting some updates from Richmond, and I'm sure we'll get more. So thanks to all of us. And of course, thanks forever to my friend Danny White, who's always in our hearts. Thanks to Jeff Gilder of Zeus Digital Marketing, Racers Reunion, and Wing Ding Media for getting us started. And you click if I didn't remind you earlier, click the like and the share button. Let your friends know that we are out here. And even if you're watching this on the recorded version, please do that. And by the way, YouTube has something that Facebook didn't. There's a little bell reminder that if you click that next to where you sign up to subscribe to this channel, it will alert you whenever we come on the air. So you get a little ding if you have your sound on your computer or your phone. So please do that. Click the subscribe to the channel and click the little bell, and that'll remind you that we're on and we're ready to rock. Please check in on Draglist every single day to see what's new. We have all the results from Richmond up. We have great David Oakes coverage, photo coverage of the PDRA race at Norwalk, Ohio. I'm sorry, pardon me. That was before. The latest we have from him is the Nostalgia race down at Bowling Green, Kentucky. So great stuff there. And we also have coverage of the XDA, the motorcycle deal down at Budds Creek. So, by the way, it was super nice to see Royce Miller on Saturday. Thanks to Gary Gore and Hayne Dominic for having me up there as always, and all of our great friends. I couldn't take time to list them all, but I should have written them all down before we came. But we had just a wonderful time visiting. But it was nice to see my old boss. worked for Royce from 1990 to about 2002 at Budds Creek doing the pro show announcing after Todd Mack and Larry Clayton got me started in 87. So it was a real pleasure to see one of the great gentlemen in the sport. And of course, all of our other great friends. Just a pleasure seeing you all. Check out the photos on Draglist and you'll see that we had a great time. So with that, I'm going to say farewell, John. Any final thoughts? I'll give you one more shot at bite at the apple.
Man, this was a great show. Once it got going, it's I was enjoying chatting with Dave before we were able to get online with all this, and but his stories were fantastic. I mean, he is a major part of drag racing history, and I'm really glad he was with us tonight.
Absolutely.
And like I say, man, I'm looking forward to next week. That's going to be a party.
Yeah. All right, John. See you later, my friend. Have a great week, everybody.